Well, California's natural places are known around the world. It is not an exaggeration to say that the Wildlife Conservation Board over the last 75 years has been essential to keeping California the special place that it is.
California has more types of animals and plants than any other state in these United States. We're one of 25 hotspots on the entire planet for what's called biodiversity. And it's the Wildlife Conservation Board that has done as much as any other state or federal agency to save that in the state of California. To save that nature for future generations is who this board is.
Redwoods Rising is really a healing project which WCB has helped funded. We're working on restoring 80,000 acres of previously forested land. The ultimate goal is to make old growth forests one day.
Our partnership with WCB accelerates the pace and scale of restoration. It also unlocks other funding so that we can do the full suite of restoration, including aquatic restoration, as well as the road removal and the restoration thinning. Most of us have a spiritual connection to the large trees that we see here in Redwoods National and State Parks. It's a feeling more than anything else. The big trees and the habitat that they support is irreplaceable.
We are currently located on the Auto Tour Loop of the Gray Lodge Wildlife Area. The Gray Lodge Wildlife Area was established in 1931 as part of the Lee Act. Its primary purpose is to prevent the depredation of agricultural crops by migratory birds. The area will peak at about 1.5 to 2 million birds in the late November, early December. And on this tour loop, we have about 50,000 vehicles that'll go through and look at these birds per winter. Given the current situation, there's only 5% of the historic wetlands left in the Central Valley in California. Yet we still have millions of waterfowl that migrate annually through the Pacific Flyway. The Central Valley and Gray Lodge is a hub for that annual migration. WCB has been instrumental in the development of the Gray Lodge Wildlife Area. They have contributed to the public access through the tour loop, wetland development and restoration, and water conveyance so that we have more efficiently use our water.
California only has so much wildlife, it only has so much open space, and to preserve and protect and enhance that for future generations is something that I really truly believe in.
Independence Lake is really special because it is home to the ancient Lahontan cutthroat trout. This is a species of trout that's native to California, has lived in this lake for well over 10,000 years, but today only exists in 2 places in the world, and Independence Lake is one of those places.
Well, Carpenter Valley is an incredible place. It's one of the most beautiful meadows in the northern Sierra Nevada. It's really rich in wildlife. From the forest, you can see goshawks flying out and bald eagles flying out. And then out in the meadow, you'll see black bear, you'll see mule deer, and you'll see sandhill cranes. So it's really one of the most diverse areas in the northern Sierra.
Weber Lake was initially purchased by David Weber in the 1850s, and he operated a hotel here and a stop on the historic Hennis Pass Road, which we are standing right next to. And in 2012, we opened it to the public for day use and camping. So we have a 45-site campground here. It was acquired to protect important headwater meadows, which are critical to the drinking water supply and also the health of the Sierra Nevada because it retains the snowmelt in the spring and recharges the river systems downstream. This acquisition wouldn't have happened without the WCB. WCB has participated in many acquisitions in this area, including Parazzo, Lacey, Independence Lake, and Carpenter Valley, and none of those would have happened without the Wildlife Conservation Board.
I think of the Wildlife Conservation Board as this unsung hero here in California because almost nobody knows about this agency, but it has such a tremendous impact on conservation here in the state. It really is one of the most inspiring programs and agencies that I know of.
There's a tremendous mosaic of wildlife here at the Napa-Sonoma Marshes. The main purpose of the area was to restore tidal wetland and upland transition zones and wetland habitats. So we get a tremendous amount of shorebirds here, and we also get a tremendous amount of waterfowl. When we first started purchasing parcels here at the Napa-Sonoma Marsh, it looked like hayfields, farm hayfields. Now you come out here, we have almost 14,000 acres of viable wildlife habitat. WCB has been integral in our ability to purchase all of these parcels of land. They also have supplied funding for the wetland restoration projects.
So the history of the Los Banos Wildlife Area is it was purchased back in 1926, initially as just a waterfowl refuge. Then in the 50s became a LEAC property that was very important to local agriculture. We grow a lot of crops here on the wildlife area that kept waterfowl from depredating barley and other crops, rice, here locally. So one of the great contributions that WCB has made to this wildlife area is the addition of our solar panels and our pump stations. It's certainly green energy, which we're very fond of, and another great example of how WCB has contributed to Los Banos Wildlife Area.
I think that, as we look to where we currently are and where the Wildlife Conservation Board needs to go is with a very intentional focus on looking at expansion of definition by defining the way we define biodiversity, the way we define access, the way we define equity, and who we're serving with these important public projects.
We're in Agora Hills. We're along the 101 freeway, very busy freeway, 10 lanes wide, where hundreds of thousands of people pass through. I don't think the word connectivity was around 30 years ago, or I don't remember hearing the word. But we understand now, especially with large mammals and others, they have to move from point A to point B. How do we connect our islands of open space in the Santa Monica Mountains to have crossings and wildlife corridors so wildlife and people, frankly, can go from one area of open space to the next? This land may have been here a while, but I don't think there would ever have been a crossing without the WCB because they had that vision.
We're on Lasky Mesa, which is the heart of the 3,000 plus acre Upper Las Virgenes Canyon Open Space Preserve. It's a key linkage point in the Intermountain Wildlife Corridor. And it was certainly a huge win to be able to preserve this property. This is now, as the title says, an open space preserve with great public access. There are trails all over the property that were the former ranch roads. WCB was allocated hundreds of millions of dollars, and this property was outlined as one of the key acquisitions. It very likely would have been developed. It had an approved specific plan, 3,000 housing units, 2 golf courses, hotel, commercial. It would have really put a nail in the coffin of creating an intermountain wildlife linkage.
So today we're here at the Santa Sana Wildlife Area, specifically the Davis Road Unit. And this is a very unique wildlife area for the department here in Southern California. It offers many varieties of activities out here, which include bird watching and nature watching and loving. And it's also a great place for education, for kids to come out and learn more about their natural environments and resources. So the Santa Sana Wildlife Area is, again, very thankful for WCB and all of its partnerships out there, because without this wildlife area, we have urban encroachment coming from all angles. And this wildlife area provides so much for the wildlife in the area, not just the resident wildlife, but for the migratory wildlife and those that are just wintering here in Southern California. This wildlife area is almost like an oasis in the middle of a metropolis, allowing for wildlife area to succeed, and we are so happy to be part of that.
You know, it's really easy to do the work that we do because it's important, it's critical, and it's so very much needed in today's world. And I hope the WCB will continue to last another 75 years.
We are at the Imperial Wildlife Area. It's a 8,000 acre wetlands management area. It was designated a wildlife area by the Fish and Game Commission in 1951. This area has historically been a great stopping grounds for birds migrating down to South America. Typically they would inhabit the Salton Sea, but with it receding, we provide an excellent stopway for them migrating. WCB provides assistance in restoration projects and restoring habitat, as well as providing better irrigation properties. So far this year, we completed with WCB 230 acres of wetlands restoration.
California has been a model to the world in protecting our nature and preserving our environment, and WCB has been a cornerstone of that work. I look forward to the next 75 years of the Wildlife Conservation Board, where it plays a central role showing the world how we can combat climate change, preserve biodiversity, and expand access to the outdoors for everyone. The future is bright in California, and certainly the future is bright as a result of the work done by the Wildlife Conservation Board.
Happy 75th birthday to the Wildlife Conservation Board.
Happy birthday, WCB.
Happy birthday, WCB. Here's to many more years of restoration projects.
Happy 75th birthday, WCB.
Happy birthday, Wildlife Conservation Board.
Happy birthday, Wildlife Conservation Board. Here's to another 75 years, and thank you.
Happy birthday, WCB. None of this would be here without you.
Happy 75th birthday, WCB.
Happy birthday, WCB, and here's to another great 75 years.
Happy 75th birthday, Wildlife Conservation Board. You are to be congratulated and loved for all you've done for the people of California.
Happy birthday, Wildlife Conservation Board.
Happy birthday, Wildlife Conservation Board. We appreciate all you've done for us.
Happy birthday, Wildlife Conservation Board. Couldn't do it without you folks.
Happy birthday to you. No, seriously. I love the Wildlife Conservation Board. I love what it does. And I hope more Californians in the next 75 years themselves will love you, the Wildlife Conservation Board. Thank you.